It's October 2020, and a gun goes off at a high school campus in Jacksonville.
An 18-year-old student brought the gun to school. They say that he was showing the gun off when it accidentally discharged.
A fellow 18-year-old has been shot. Thankfully, he's okay.
I'm very disappointed. I can even say that I'm angry.
This is another example of campus violence, but you may be surprised to hear the student who brought the gun to school isn't in prison. Instead, he's in a program to get him on the right track.
As they said, we think we can help this one.
They say, hey, you need to speak up. If you don't need help, I'm not gonna help you, you know? And that made me step up and speak up.
We asked you what you think would lower violence in your community. Carmen said, signs all over the neighborhood advising who to contact if you want to get out of a gang or life of crime. Linda wrote, get the parents involved. They should always know who the children are hanging with and what they are doing. And Barry said, we have a generation of men who did not grow up with their fathers. The culture, regardless of race, of broken homes needs to change. We found something that seems to incorporate all this. Is it a better solution for troubled teens? Is it a way to keep them out of jail and to stop them from reoffending? We are taking a look in this episode of Solutionaries, where we look for solutions in every story we cover. We show proof that these solutions actually work, and we shed light on the limitations, because we know that if there was a perfect solution out there, this wouldn't be a problem in the first place. We met Chris outside the Duval County Jail. It's a dark reminder of where he was headed just a few years earlier. What are you doing? How's life?
It's going good. I'm just working, you know, getting my life back, right?
He's shy but polite, and while we're not showing his face for his protection, he's cheerful. A far cry from the Chris we would have met in 2020.
I was like depressed. I was sad, you know, just wish I could never done that, you know.
So you went to school, you had a weapon?
Yes, sir.
What was that for?
It was for my protection.
He tells us he was on the football team, not in a gang, and had no intention of hurting anyone. But he was living a high-risk life. That single gunshot, which he maintains was an accident, started changing his life. Not for the worse, like many of us would suspect, but for the better. So you almost lost everything you worked for.
I almost lost.
You could have spent some time
In jail.
right there in jail.
Yes, sir.
How did your life turn around?
My life turned around when I didn't just want to do years in prison or nothing, you know. And then I met Garland Scott.
Give us success in taking those off of the street.
Pastor Garland Scott. He was reluctant to even do this interview and show his face because he's been working in the shadows of this community for decades, building trust with those who don't trust anyone.
I interrupt violence. I find an alternative for a violent lifestyle.
A man of God who used to be a man of crime in Brooklyn's toughest streets.
What was life like for you when you were in a gang?
Simple. I just had to break bones. That's it. I was the enforcer. If you didn't pay the bill, they sent me. My name was Big Buck because I didn't give her. And I was equipped for the job. I started when I was 12. And I did it till I was 27.
He escaped that life by escaping for his life. He moved to Florida in the 90s after someone tried to kill him. He found faith along the way, a lesson he passes on to the young men who are on the wrong path.
What do you tell them?
I'm here to keep you safe, alive, and out of prison. I'm not interested in the case. I'm only here to keep you safe.
He wants to make it very clear he is not a police officer, but he does work side by side with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, specifically the violent crime and gang units. Jacksonville has a high violent crime rate, with more than 30 documented gangs, 570 plus gang members, and more than 100 murders every year.
Mr. Franklin, you're not in any trouble.
It's an approach called the Hope and the Hammer. The hope is for a better life, a lucrative career. That's the pastor's job. The hammer comes from the police officers flanking him. Keep causing trouble, and you'll end up behind bars. Or dead.
They got pictures of you out there with your gun out there. I know it's legal, but that don't look right. You know what I mean? They can pick up anything on there. Is that making sense to you?
He leaves the men and their parents with food for thought and a letter like this one. Call me and I'll help.
There are a lot of people who will say, these are gang members, they're a lost cause, they need to be locked up, put away forever.
They don't understand value. Value is contingent upon rarity. Rocks are not valuable because they're everywhere. Diamonds are valuable because they have a special cut to them. If we can get to them before they get to that next level, we can get them on a totally different course.
What do you have to offer with that totally different course?
I can say it boldly, pretty much everything. We have 130-something outreach supporters, from juvenile justice to DCF to Job Corps.
Numbers show in many cases it's working. In the past 6 years, Garland Scott and his team have contacted 919 young people. He says about 2 in 5 of those call back asking for help.
We got a good record. We got about a 40% success rate where they're productive citizens. They're not shooting and they're not getting shot. We're out there and we don't celebrate it. We just keep plowing along. You're only as great as your last success.
As for Chris, with Pastor Scott's help, prosecutors have diverted the charges for community service.
I'm proud of you. I want you to know that.
Man.
He's gotten a job. He's in the gym training to hopefully play college football. And he doesn't miss an invitation for a meal with his mentor.
What was it that made you believe in him and not say, he's a lost cause, I can't help here?
He had tattoos, and I told him to get rid of them. 2 days they were gone. He covered them up. He had a wild hairstyle. I'm not into hairstyles, but it had represented something then. He cut that hair off the same day.
Is life better on the good side as compared to a life of crime?
Life way better. Life way better.
Solutionaries needs you to be part of the conversation. Your comments below will help us tackle new topics and track down solutions. And don't forget to subscribe.